My name is Hatem Laroussi, and I'm a PhD student at Laval University School of Nursing, Quebec, Canada. Today, I will present some reflection or a piece of my work. It's about successful aging, and it's like a concept analysis of successful aging with chronic diseases. And the chronic disease I choose is HIV. You know that today we can live longer with HIV. That's why I'm really focusing and interested on HIV and aging with HIV. But let's start with the most famous question and the most famous this concept, successful aging. How can people age successfully? This question is fundamental for many researchers because, as you know, nowadays we are focusing on living better, having better quality of life, and we like to have a better and longer life. But we are here focusing on quality or quantity. That's why we should to review and focus on what's successful aging on the literatures. So my presentation is divided in two parts. Part one is successful aging on general. Part two is successful aging and key elements with HIV. Let's start with what is successful aging. The construct of successful aging appears in the 60s with a focus on physiological factors. However, its definition progressively develops into more multidisciplinary construct and begins to include psychological, psychosocial, and environmental factors. Today, all these aspects are seen as essential to its study. Worldwide, many prioritize good health as important goal in their lives, and some consider health and functioning in old age as priority when striving to successful aging. Growing old, however, presents us with plethora of debilitating consequences, among which there are disabilities, cognitive decline, and loss of social relationships. But this concept of successful aging has played a central role in contemporary research and public discourse about aging for more than 2 decades. Famously articulated in a paper titled Human Aging, Usual and Successful. It's the paper published by Rowan Khan, one of the pioneer of successful aging concept. It's published in the journal Science. The concept has since been extensively used in scientific literature along with related concepts like active aging, positive aging, healthy aging, normal aging, well-being. The definition is far than inclusive. Rowan Khan's short programmatic paper has not only been widely cited in the geriatrics, gerontology, nursing, social science, and many other fields, medicine, but also by research in oncology, ontology, sociology, political science, and many other fields. But the definition was widely criticized. That's why Rowan Khan proposed another definition for successful aging, but not focusing only on the function and the physiological aspect. Since 1987, more than 2,000 research papers and chapters in collected volumes have referred to Rowan Khan paper for the journal Science, and it's still being widely cited today. Several hundred articles have also used the term successful aging without referring explicitly to this original article. But according to our analysis, and literature of review, we found the most important element of successful aging. And these elements are the key elements for all people having chronic diseases. First of all, we have the physical function. The physical function is the furthest developed domain of successful aging because maintaining physical function is an important component of successful aging. A regular physical activity during the lifespan is a strong predictor of healthy aging. The indicators of mobility, performance, and physical function are well known, and there is a consensus of measures and evaluation. For example, walking speed, an excellent marker of overall health and predicts the maintenance of physical function. The second element is the physiological function. The concept of successful uh, or healthy aging has been generally associated with longevity and the absence of diseases and disability, which is based on the definition of successfully aging by Ron Kahn. This definition which really criticized because it's not inclusive, and that's why we found many theoreticians and many others interested by this concept developed some theories and some explanation and some definitions more inclusive, because Rowan Khan, when they start their work on successful aging, they didn't include aging people. They include just doctors, physicians, and their what they found on the literature, but they didn't include people. That's why many research nowadays are including people to have some operational definition of successful aging. Many studies have focused on longevity research to define successful aging, highlighting the importance of having lived a very long and healthy life. The third element, which is a key element also, is the cognitive function. Maintaining cognitive function abilities and preventing memory disorder are key aims in old age. Many researchers have suggested that successful aging cognitive function should be a central component of successful aging. Cognitive development in old age differs individually. Longitudinal studies have shown that midlife is a critical period for beginning of the pathology of cognitive disorder, although indicators of the disease process remain still poorly understood. This element comprises perception, attention, memory, and a higher function, but indicators of successful cognitive function are often chosen to tap particular dimension of functioning. The third element is psychologically well adapted in later life. Recent studies have shown that life satisfaction, purpose in life, and perception of the aging process contributed to aging successfully, and therefore psychological domain of adaptation in later life is important to successful aging. For example, many people having many chronic disease, they develop some strategies, some mechanism of coping with their comorbidities, and they can live very well and can have a good quality of life with their comorbidities. Actively engaged is also an important and a key element. Why it's important? Because good social functioning is often determined as important factor in successful aging, especially by older adults themselves. It reflects a wish to retain a role in society and being involved with people. And we can see that during the pandemic, many older people are really involved in our society, and they contribute very well in our society, and they help the whole society to cope with the all the process of the pandemic. And the last element for general successful aging is psychosocial conditions. Psychosocial conditions contribute to aging process. One of the most theoreticians are working on successful aging is Baltz and Baltz. They have proposed the model of selective optimization with compensations, which explains adaptation to deficits of aging with successful psychological and behavioral process. That means people, they can develop some mechanism, some strategies, and they can live like normal people, like people who have no chronic diseases. But now, if just make a shift, and we will see what's aging with HIV, or what is successful aging with HIV. But before telling that, let's have some idea about the complexity of aging with HIV. We know that the population in general is aging. As the baby boomers age by sheer numbers, those infected with HIV are also aging, which contributes to the growing number of older adults with HIV. According to CDC, Center for Disease Control, we consider people aging with HIV all people having 50 years and plus. HIV-infected individuals are becoming older as a result of reduced AIDS-related mortality due to the combination of antiretroviral therapy, the ART therapy. It is projected by 2015, more than half of all infected individuals in the USA and Canada will be 50 years and plus. And this is a really huge and a big impact, and a good thing, and a new way to perceive the HIV. Older adults nowadays, older adults are also contracting HIV in later life. Incidence estimates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicates that 15% of all new HIV cases occur in person 50 years of age and older. The increasing number of older adults who are contracting HIV in later life has been primarily attributed the finding that older adults do not perceive that they are at risk for HIV because HIV has often been considered a disease of the young, intravenous users, and or homosexual. And we can consider that many older adults, they don't use some protection methods like using condom. That's why they can get more and more HIV. Also, people having HIV will with age and with all we know that the body is always coping with many problem, with many virus, with many other virus. They develop some comorbidities like cardiovascular diseases, like problem of mental health, the loss of network, the death of friends, the stigma, the rejection of our friends or family. Otherwise, we will present the key elements of successful aging according to the literatures that may help people having HIV to get a better quality of life, and also uh, it can help us to uh, develop some intervention. As a nurse, we will work on some nursing intervention to getting and promoting successful aging. But these key elements are general, but we can say that we have a consensus for many researchers that we should have at least these elements to have a successful aging with HIV. First of all, life satisfaction. I know maybe you say that life satisfaction is personal, but life satisfaction consists of the quality and meaning one attributes to his or her experience, although related to the concept of personal control is in that they are both personal perception. Life satisfaction is a global phenomenological concept. Moreover, how much one is satisfied with one's life cannot be reduced into a formulaic statement. In other words, it depends on how you evaluate and how you see your life and all what the experience that you learn and all the mechanism that you develop during your life, and how nowadays you can see that you are achieving the life satisfaction. Second element is the length of life. HIV does compromise length of life, albeit these data must be interpreted with caution. Why? Because there are many people having HIV after the age of 50, as we said. There are many people having HIV in the different moment of developing the ART medication. That means there are people having the HIV in the early 80s, but there are also people having HIV recently. The evaluation, the perception, the acceptance of the, the virus depends, and the mechanism and the experience depends. Also, it depends geographically. For example, people in developed country are having more access for medicine, for health care stuff, but in developing country, the situation is not the same. Also, gender affects also the successful aging, because women with menopause are aging faster than men. The third key element is the biological health. Biological health consists of how well the different system of the body, example, cardiovascular diseases, limbic system, nervous system, function are interact. The immune system is compromised by HIV, making it less responsive to define against infection. Also, polypharmacy is a concern with aging in general, but even more so for adults aging with HIV, since they are already taking heart medication that have well documented uh, iatrogenic effects. As discussed, these iatrogenic effects can produce metabolic syndromes and comorbidities that in turn require additional medication. Another element that we found it in the general successful aging is the cognitive efficiency. There are many causes of such cognitive decline associated with HIV and aging. For example, we have substance use. Many people are using in their early age some substance use, and those substances they may affect later their cognitive efficiency and their successful aging. HIV creates an inflammatory response in the body and the brain that can be damaging to neurons. Also, reconstitutions of the immune system can also create an inflammatory response to the nervous system, which can negatively impact cognitive function. Also, we have the mental health. HIV is generally associated with poor mental health. I know that that's maybe a shocking statement, but poor mental health can lead to poor judgment and decision making, which results in placing oneself in a situation where exposure to HIV infection is increased. Also, we have the emotional equilibrium necessary to interact effectively with the social physical environment as well as enjoy life. When we say mental health, also we should not forget the HIV is a stigmatizing, life-threatening disease, often associated with fear, guilt, and uncertainty. Thus, a diagnosis with HIV can result in intense anxiety, depression, and even suicidal ideation. Another element for mental health, people aged with HIV, they will be more vulnerable to those mental health challenges, loss of network, and the new concept is emerging nowadays for general population is ageism. Also, people having aging with HIV, they can be confronted with ageism and some suicidal ideas. For the social competence, a social worth decreases, social competence may be compromised, and this may result in social withdrawal, which is often observed with HIV, especially older adults with HIV. Clearly, social competence is needed to build social support and network that are necessary for successful aging. However, the first step is to overcome internalized HIV stigma in an older adult with HIV experience. It will be difficult to interact with and socially exchange with others. That's why we see and we can see that many papers are published how the situation was very painful and very difficult for people living with HIV during the pandemic, and how they feel lonely, isolated, rejected. Another element for successful aging is productivity. Productivity consists of how well one is able to support one's self and one's goal, as well as contribute to group goals. With diagnosis of HIV, there are often somatic complaints such as fatigue, diarrhea, and depression, and other health issues that interfere or preclude engaging in such goals. One of those primary goals being employment for those who are not eligible for retirement income. We know that nowadays, especially people attracting HIV during the last decade, they have a better access and better productivity, but people who having HIV in the early 80s, they have not the same quality of life. They may be rejected, excluded, or they are fired from their jobs. For those aging with HIVs, there are a number of challenges to their productivity, specifically surrounding the issues of work, retirement, and being able to support oneself financially. The last two elements is personal control, and the last one is spirituality. According to Freud, it may help. Those are the key elements that we have for successful aging with HIV, and we keep working and we keep trying to get more intervention to help this population. Finally, I thank you very much for listening to my intervention. I'm so sorry for my English, but I tried to get good information and good intervention from my literature of review. Thank you very much.